Hello, my name is Professor Paul Buitron from the International Guild of Dancers Savat. And we in the Guild admire every martial art, every culture in the world. And that's the reason why we're here in Stockton. Stockton is a unique place in the United States. And the reason is very simple. It is the mecca of Escrima, the Filipino martial arts in the United States. From here, and in this building that we're right behind, is where the starting point of Escrima started in the United States, and it was started by Grandmaster Angel Cabalas. And there were other Grandmasters here in Stockton, like Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio and Grandmaster Giron. And we're going to be talking to their first generation, their sons, their first generation masters of the arts, and see what they experienced by these great men, and see how the martial arts of Escrima has taken them and developed. It's a great honor to be here, and I call some of them brothers, and in fact all of them brothers, because we all travel in a unique way, because we're all trying to better ourselves with the martial arts.
So, my name is Vincent Angel Cabalas. I'm the son of Angel Cabalas, the first instructor in the United States to open up a school in 1966, the Filipino Martial Arts. Our art is called Cabalas Serrata Escrima. And when we had the school on top of Turks in 66, it was just called Escrima. So, Dentori Revelar had to bring over an older Filipino man to watch the class. And the way we came about calling it Serrata, he called it Sarado in the Filipino language. That means close, or close style. And so my dad adapted the name of Serrata. You know, it's more Spanish because of our style is Daga, that follows rapier and a dagger. In which the Filipinos had adapted that into a bolo and dagger, style. And so we had the school in 66 there, and opened up another one at 13060 Harding Way in 68, and where we still are. Now it's 2014. We're still there working out, and it's going along fine. So, the first exposure to Escrima was, I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, and my dad would be working out by himself, in his apartment, and just doing moves and so forth. And I asked him, "What is that, Dad?" Never mind. Years. Never mind. Till one day I said, "Hey, well, tell me about it." I was 8 years old or so. And he said, it's called Escrima. I said, well, show me something. So he started showing me some empty hand techniques and stuff like that, and some stick stuff. But mostly, I told him, I said, well, I'm not going to have a stick, which a lot of people have misconceptions of what Filipino martial arts is about. I learned that later on, that it's not only sticks. It's hand techniques, grappling, knife techniques, and so forth. And as years went by, I was more introduced to it up until 12, and he opened up the school. Still learning, still progressing in Escrima, sparring, lock and block, and, picking and so forth. And it's a forever learning experience also. Not only just the art of it, it's learning people, because it's a thing that's always growing, always moving, and just like in the book, I'm writing a book now. It's been taking me 10 years, but it's going to come out in the book that it's forever moving, growing, progressing. That's not only the art, but learning people, like Paul. Like, you become friends, and you grow and you're expanding this Filipino art, FMA, Filipino Martial Arts. It's forever growing and searching out, and for me it's just not just searching out, but thriving to make this grow into something like, say, karate. You know, karate has 400 students in some of the schools. Kung Fu there's one in the Bay Area that has 10,000 students. And this is what we need to grow it to, for not only to make money, but to bring out the art to the world. You can talk to Filipino people in different cities and ask them, there, have you ever done Eskrima? What's that? They don't even know, but they've done karate and kung fu and so forth. And a good example of that is when I was at Great America and did a demonstration. 3,000 people in the audience, majority Filipinos, probably 90%, because it was an event for the Filipino people. We did the demonstration, and I asked how many people did Eskrima. Just only a few put their hands up. Then I got more forceful. Who did karate? A lot of people raised their hands and so forth. And how many people did kung fu? They all raised their hand. I said, oh, that's kind of funny. Only a few you raised your hands for Eskrima, and that's your art. And it got quiet. I said, there's a lot of schools in the Bay Area, not only mine, but a lot of schools you all need to search out and go to your roots. This is your art, and it covers a lot. Weapons, grappling, empty hand techniques, knives. You can get all that in your art. I said, thank you. I saluted, and we're off. We're done. That's it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. My dad had told me a story about being in the Philippines in Panay. One of the stories is when he first seen someone actually killed or injured pretty bad by Ebola. And when he seen, I think he was about 10 years old, or maybe 11, 12 years old. And they always played around in boxing or something, because that's one of his passions when he was in the Philippines, was boxing. And so he was in the village, and he seen a few Manongs. They on any drop of a hat, they'd fight chickens. So on the chicken fight, he said that they got in an argument, and bolos were drawn, and he seen that they were cut up, and he wasn't sure that one killed the guy or not, but he came to realize that not only fighting with his hands was going to work, not in the Philippines. So at the time, his older brother, Vincent, and family members were working out in Eskrima. They would do this at home. Friends, so forth, would come by, they'd play with the sticks and so forth. And so he asked the brother to teach him within the family. And that was one of the first things. He started pretty young, fighting with sticks. And then some things happened that he had to leave the island. And I'm writing, like I said, I'm writing a book now, and that's going to come out in the book. And so he left and met up with Felicimo Lizon and sought him out because he was one of the legends in the Philippines. So what he wanted to do was further his knowledge in Filipino martial arts, because of what happened, that he had to leave his island. He wanted to better himself. So Felicimo took him around different parts of the Philippines, all the central areas, Philippines and south there. and they practiced. And as he practically got better, they worked for a gangster, bodyguards and so forth. My dad was telling me, and even challenges in bars. They would Felismo would get challenged. In one of the stories, they were drinking in the bar. He told my dad, "Here, handle it," and my dad did. With the sticks. It wasn't bowls, it was sticks. And he said he hurt the guy pretty bad. But they were drinking, and you get a little over, pushing it a little bit. So he was drinking. But as in the 40s, the war came about. He was in the Merchant Marine, so he came to the United States, jumped ship, and started his life here. And married my mother in the early 50s, around 50 or so, and lived here in Stockton. And in 19, well, actually it wasn't 1966, but we started working out when I was 8. So, like I said, and in 1966 he opened up the school on top of our apartment complex on a sun deck, which was Turk's Villa Basque. It was a restaurant. And then after that, they encouraged him to open up a school at Gong's restaurant because it was a bigger hall. We had too many students. So, and that started then, and it's always been there since 1968 and still there till now. Another thing that kind of enhanced my Eskrima skills even is when I talked to my dad about little secret moves and so forth, and he would tell me, well, when I was challenged by this person, like on the ship, he was challenged. That's where the saying of the 3 strikes and then a man's down. And he did a certain couple of moves, cross block and so forth, and roof block, and took him down. And that right there, what it did, I went, wow. I never really actually used the Eskrima yet, or even really got in a fight with using martial arts. But that kind of enlightened me, going, wow, it's only a few moves. And now being challenged a couple times too, also, and taking care of the problem at that time. Actual martial art fight doesn't last. Like I was kind of like Carlito Bonjak. One time we had a school at a Federation building, and he was telling me about this. He was like a secretary or so forth for this one guy that had this art that was a long stick style, and he would whip the stick off their shoulder. And he'd watch the class with the short sticks, and he goes, how could you defend yourself against a long stick? And he goes, well, I don't know. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, I don't think that short stick can have no chance against a longer stick. He goes, well, just show me. So I wasn't there, but Carlito said that my dad told Carlito, get my stick and you know which one. So it was a shorter stick. My dad is only 5 foot and 105 pounds, but the stick went from his wrist to his armpit. So that was a short stick. So he sits there and Carlito said my dad was grinding his foot into the floor and doing like a figure 8 in this position. So the guy's whipping this stick off his arm, and came at my dad and he blocked it, put the stick right here by his neck and goes, I guess that's a long stick is pretty good, I guess. He goes, yeah. And that was that. And I went, man, that was great. I said, Dad, you know, we're going to have to do more of these practices like this too. You're going to have to show me some more. So there's a few other things like knife techniques. Back in the day when my dad was working in Gilroy and so forth, and the grapes were actually meant my mother and Salinas and around Hercules area. He told me that there were like braceros or something that they'd call the Mexicans that came over from Mexico to work in the fields, that they had a story of a great knife fighter in the Philippines, I mean in Mexico, and that they heard about him, that he was a great knife fighter from the Philippines. So he went down to see this guy, and needless to say, my dad's the one that came back. So, and that's as far as I mean, there's more challenges. They'll be in the book. So, all right. Thanks. My name is Grandmaster Vincent Cabales, and this is Dennis Service. And we happen to have everybody here at school on 136 East Harding Way, where my dad had opened up the school in 1968, and still here. And we're going to do a little demonstration for you, a couple of moves. And let's get started with one outside move. This is a very first move when you come into Kabbalah school. If you didn't do that first, you didn't come into a Kabbalah school. So, right, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so, and there, a lot of people go, oh, wow, what are you guys going to do without a stick, right? So, same move. Outside move. Stick down. This is the second move you learned when you're a squad. Like in even a knife, it's an outside move. Number two, rope walk. In Serrata, like what we were doing just at the beginning was basics. The outside block, grip block, and give it two. Shoulder block. Number 3. Go. 4. 5.
what we just did was basics. What we do as you progress, get into the eights or so forth, you start doing lock and block. What we do is this is a drill action for footwork, and it actually starts building some of your speed. So as you're getting better at that, Dennis is an instructor, that's where you start putting it all into the sparring. And this is a 3 cross block. All Now, in Serrata, we don't do drills. It may look like it's redundant moves, but whatever I throw, he has to block. If he doesn't block, he gets hit, just like that. So, I can stay here all day, change up. That's Serrata. He don't block, he gets hit. Right, Dennis?
That's right.